Alright, so welcome back, guys. I did say I was going to show you basically what I was going to use as a container. I actually decided just to go along with the container I was mixing in. So as you can see, I've actually put a black sheeting around it. Now the reason for this is I'm creating a self-wicking setup, so I don't need to do too much maintenance when it comes to the watering. I just need to guarantee that there's water in the system, and I've basically put in, I believe it's a 75 mm piping, so I can see right down to the bottom, and yeah, it'll tell me basically if there's water in the system or not. Or shall we say just the bucket. And yeah, I put some black plastic on the outside because there was actually holes at the bottom, and I don't want that to actually allow the water to escape. Now this is quite good when you're actually wanting to go away or you don't want to do too much maintenance. It's a lovely kind of concept because then it's just you need to worry about water and fertilizer and make sure it's got enough sun. Currently it's in the dark space where the sun is actually behind my bush, but it will come through during the day. So you just need to make sure that you give it an ample amount of sun. But just remember, more sun means more evaporation, which means you need to put more water at some point. So depending on your plant, if it needs extensive amounts of sunshine, it would be good to actually put it in the sun and then just regularly check the water, like at least once a day. I will be checking this twice a day, every second day, sorry, because it's not in the sun, and it's just basically I'm going to be putting herbs in here, so they need decent amount of water, but they don't want to be drenched in it as well. Now all I did was, as I said, I wrapped this around. I didn't even glue it in place. I basically just used the soil to hold it in place. So I squashed it down quite nicely against it and just put soil, and it's holding quite steady. And these are the kind of things that you can do. Like if you want to actually have a drainage one, that's fine. Just remember, when you're actually putting in your liquids, you will be draining away some of your fertilizer at the same time. So don't be excessive with your watering all the time, because you will lose quite a lot of nutrients from the soil doing it that way. But it is also a good idea if you're putting it outside and you've got a lot of rain. Then of course, mine's a bit under some roofing, so basically it won't get too wet. It will just get, drizzle on, and it won't drown it. So yeah, and then basically the other kind of things that you could be using is milk jugs or your cool drink bottles, anything that can basically hold soil. And all you'd necessarily do with this kind of thing is, I would say, slice it about here. You can then, if you want to, make it into self-wicking. So if you want to do self-wicking, you wouldn't slice it here, slice it down there, or maybe even here. Make a hole in the top, put your self-wicking material, which I used recently was just a old shirt. I sliced it up into strips, put an electric drill, and spun it around to make it into a braid, and then let it go. Obviously it will unravel a bit, but that's not a problem. And you draw your hole, put your self-wicking material inside and seal it up, and that's about it. Then you basically, after cutting this, of course, tip it upside down. You put your water in. I wouldn't say all the way up to here, I'd say about down to here if you cut it there, because you want to make space so that when the top piece goes in, it doesn't spill over. Okay, generally that's a mistake we all make. We forget that it needs space as well. So just remember that, and then ensure that your wick is completely wet when you put it in, and you put your soil in your plant and leave it to grow. Now this is a bit small, so like the root depth won't be a lot, so you might want to look at something like your cola bottles and stuff like that, where you've got a lot more depth that you'll be working with, and that will actually help you out quite a bit when it comes to actually getting a healthy plant. All right, and that's basically it. If you just want to have a normal basic dripping container, cut it to that top or maximize it as much as you can. Okay, you could even probably go up to here. Just realize you only have the gap because obviously that spacing has been taken away, and then you drill the holes in the bottom so that it can drain, and that's it. It's basically whatever kind of container you can hold something in. and then it's up to really you what you want to do with it. If you want to do a self-wicking, or you want to do just a standard grow with a container with holes in the bottom, completely up to you. And it really makes a nice change. One, you're actually helping with waste going into the recyclings as well. You're recycling the plastics yourself by reusing it instead of buying new ones that have been pressed out. It's really just, and it's easy on hand. You can easily get it. You're buying it nonetheless, so you'll be saving money from going and buying another pot plant in a sense by making your own. So really, it's all up to you. Like with this one here, this container is actually an old oil drum, but a plastic one, and cleaned it out quite well, cut it up, cleaned it out, removed all the oil, threw sand in that as well, cleaned it with sand, and then cleaned it again with soap and water on top of it again, and it came out completely fine. And I've been growing stuff in these things for the last 4 years, 5 years. I was lucky because I managed to get quite a few quite cheaply, and yeah, they don't seem to actually make those anymore where I am. They don't want to facilitate the plastic, they want to facilitate the steel drums nowadays. So I wouldn't recommend steel because it rusts, but for instance, if you're doing something that is citrusy, it might be a good idea, because they like rusting acidic soils. So you never know, it might actually help. I know that when I put screws and stuff which are rusting, and the plant, let's say for instance a lemon tree, doesn't want to grow fruit, and I put a rusting nail in it, just 2, it actually starts performing the next gen. So yeah, it might be a good idea. But nonetheless, this is it for the video. I just thought I'll show you what I've done, and it's a nice simple kind of thing. And as I said, any other materials that you can find can be very handy. So thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.